I should turn off my fan, right? I should turn off my fan. I hate turning off my fan. Okay. Ooh. Okie dokie. Let's go. Never doing that again. Graham Greene, give me strength. Hey guys, I'm Valentine, but my friends call me Val. So today, I am going to be talking about 5 writing tips. That's 10. 5 writing tips that you can do when you're stuck on writing. And by the way, my face might be a little swollen just because I got all of my wisdom teeth pulled on Tuesday. So, anyways, so like from Tuesday to Friday night, I was just in the zone. I was in the zone. I wrote 11,000 words. No, 12. Okay. I wrote like 12,000 to 13,000 words just in the span of 4 days. And normally, like, my goal, I do not hit this goal a lot, but my goal is usually like 2,000 words a day because that's the number Stephen King told me I should follow. So, if Stephen King says it, I guess I have to do it. I try to hit that goal. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it is very hard to hit that goal. But after Friday, which was when I'm filming this yesterday, well, actually, now I'm filming this past midnight, so now it's like Friday was 2 days ago. Stephen King, I am behind schedule. So after Friday, the end of this like 13,000 words that I wrote, cultivated. Is it cultivated? Cultivated? I think it's cultivated. Culminated. It resulted in me finishing this really long chapter that I was so excited about. Like it's in the third act of the book. Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm writing my debut novel. I'm like taking away the days of when the first draft is going to be finished because I started this book, by the way, in August of last year. More on that in another vlog thingy because I don't want to get into it right now. But I started it last year in August after so many tried and failed attempts of I'm going to write my first book now, and I'd write like 10 pages or I'd write 50 pages or I'd plot out the book and figure out the entire cast and have this beautiful outline. There's one right here that you can't see that I'm not going to show you. It's like the most beautiful outline I've ever done. It makes no sense, but it's beautiful. I think that the furthest I got into was like 50 pages, and then I'd just be like, ugh. Finally, I don't know what happened. Maybe I just hit all the right points. Maybe it just life came together. Whatever. But finally, last year in August, one day I just started writing, and now I'm at 130,000 words or 140,000 words. By the summer, I'm planning on having it done, alright? Super exciting. Back to the story, and then back to the tips. I know, tangent on a tangent on a tangent. I'm very good at that. I finished this chapter. It's this chapter in Act 3, and I have, like, say, 5 chapters left to finish in Act 2. I probably need 5,000 to 10,000 more words to finish it, and I can just focus on Act 3, which is the most exciting and fun part of the book. It's going to be fun because each act takes on a different structure and time, and the third act is just. Yeah. After I finished that chapter, I was like, oh my god, I'm running on this high of 13,000 words in 4 days. This is the best, most productive in my writing I've been. And today I was like, let's keep it going. And I'm sitting at my computer, and I'm sitting at my computer, and I'm sitting at my computer. Besides, like, sort of reworking the beginning of the chapter I wanted to finish today, because I wrote a little bit last night before I went to bed. Oh my god. Someone walks really loud in the hallways. Anyways, I just kept staring at it and nothing was coming out, and I was like, ugh. And I was like reworking the dialogue I'd written. I was like, this is weak. This is like, ugh. icky. But like the most I was able to write was like a few sentences. For real, man? Because I was just really excited to just like keep going, and then just like out of nowhere I'm stuck. So I'm sitting on my computer, I'm writing. Well, no, I'm not writing. I'm sitting on my computer wanting to write, and then eventually I end up down the YouTube rabbit hole of just watching video after video after video. I know. Ugh. Ow. Reminder, I got all my wisdom teeth pulled and I have stitches in my mouth, and that hurt. Anyways, I decided to make this tonight because I'm stuck, and yeah, the tug there really just kind of brought me out. Anyways, I made a little list of 5 tips for when you're stuck writing. And number 5 will shock you. There's just someone walking outside. I have really sensitive ears. What time is it? Oh my god, it is 1:26 a.m. Okay, weird. So, I mean, like, anyways. Oh, she got a food delivery. All right, let's get this. Tip number 1, ooh woo. Write somewhere or something else. By writing somewhere else first, subsection 1, by writing somewhere else, you should know, writing a book, you do not have to write linearly. Stephen King does, and I think that's fucking crazy. But you shouldn't have to. Don't have to just start from page 1 and just write in order till you get to page 1287. You should know, like, you can start from page 1 and go to page 50 and then be like, I'm stuck at page 50, and then pick up literally at page 672. 1020, and you're like, oh my god, that is gorgeous. And then finally it hits you. I know what I need to do at page 50, and that's use this element that I wrote at page 1011 and introduce that on page 50, and that process helps you so much. Like in my book, I was writing in the second act. I got to chapter 6 and I was like, this is the worst chapter ever. I cannot wait to edit that chapter, by the way. Ooh woo. Anyway, me knowing me, I know if I start editing when I haven't even finished my first draft, I will spend way more time editing than I will actually like finishing my first draft. Because I remember my previous book attempt, I kept rewriting over and over and over again till I was happy with how the book was starting to go. And I would do that every chapter. And I think in retrospect, that isn't really a bad way to approach it. I just knew I wanted to, for this book, I wanted to finish the first draft before I started getting really meticulous about rewriting and rewriting and rewriting again. But I was really trapped and stuck on chapter 6. Eventually, I did tip 4 that's coming up later, and from tip 4 I went back to tip 1, and I wrote the last chapter of my book. Just in one sitting, I was like, oh my god. And it is still my favorite thing I've written. I'm not going to read it, though, because that gets to be a surprise. But with the subsection 2, something else, and I don't mean start like a whole new project, like another book, unless you actually hate what you're writing. And if you hate what you're writing, why the fuck are you writing it? Literally get a grip and write something you love. If you're stuck and you write something else, like a short story, you could do a journal entry. I think sometimes journal entries are really fun to experiment with different kinds of prose, especially because like you're just using your life when you write a journal entry, basically. And so you can get very experimental with that, and just I like playing with language. I think language is very fun to play with. Or you can do a poem. I know I have a eating grin kind of a face on when I say that, but I'm serious. You could write a poem. I'm not trying to be funny about that. Literally, you could write a poem. I'm going to read you a poem. This is a poem I wrote. I'm going to try to find the least depressing poem. Oh, this is called The Difference. You walk on eggshells when you're around me. I am made of eggshells when you're around me. I'm sorry for leaving eggshells all over. You know, I think my biggest issue is I can't even take myself seriously. That is a very big issue. I have trouble with that. Anyways, moving on. By the way, I would like to shout out today's video sponsor. Well, no one sponsored me, and that's okay because I am an entrepreneur. I sponsored myself. That's right. I'm today's video sponsor. Feel free to check out my art Instagram, Punk Rock Ghosty. Punk Rock Ghosty. Punk Rock Ghosty. I make art. Yeah. Didn't see that one coming, but I do. I'm currently working on a website, a shop, and eventually I'm going to start selling prints. It's just all part of the process. But yeah, so feel free to check out my art account. I have it on Instagram right now. More coming later. Eventually I'll have a Patreon. All that wonderful self-sufficient stuff. Anyways, moving on. Tip number 2. And I think this one's actually pretty underrated. But read. Literally read. When you're stuck. But one thing you could and probably should do when you're stuck and no words are coming out is read. I think reading is the future. And reading is what will save the youth. My teeth are bothering me. What I'm currently reading is I'm juggling between Don Quixote and also Infinite Jest. Yeah, I am only like 30 pages into both of these bad boys. Reviews coming. I have a lot of thoughts on David Wallace. David Wallace, right? Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts on David Wallace so far. Well, 30 pages in. So far, I'm liking Don Quixote more than I'm liking Infinite Jest, but I think Infinite Jest has to grow on me more. But this is not the review. But yeah, sometimes when you're waiting for the wind to send you something, the best thing you can do is crack open a book. And I have had some pretty profound moments of inspiration being sent to me by the wind, just from taking some time out of my writing schedule to read. And yes, my muse is the wind. Happy. Number three. Work on a hobby. Or like if you have other side projects, like I'm someone who's always juggling a lot of different things. I paint, so behind me I have this big painting I'm working on slowly. I'm also learning Russian, so здравствуйте, suka. I have this issue of painting too. If I spend too long staring at my canvas, I mean sometimes I don't even know how to describe it. It's like I just think about painting. I can get very obsessive with my work, and the same applies to my writing. And sometimes that is good, and sometimes that is not good, and I need to step back and work on something in a completely different field. So like with painting, with my foreign language studies, with music, cooking too. Cooking is always a nice break for me. Cooking is just very relaxing for me. I like to cook for myself. I like to cook for my friends. I really enjoy to cook, and I like it a lot. Oh my god, my eye. I go hard when I cook. Like, not to brag, but maybe just a little. I make some fire shit. I can make pizzas from scratch. I make my own bread. It is so fucking fire. But yeah, so sometimes maybe you just need to switch gears, reorientate your mind towards something else you like to do a lot that doesn't involve the language you are writing in. I'm assuming it's English because I'm speaking in English, and I think that's an indication that my audience will be English speaking enough to where You know what I mean. So tip number 4. I forgot what tip number 4 was. Oh, tip number 4. Go out. No, but tip number 4 is go out. Like sometimes like go hang out with a friend if you have those. Or just like treat yourself to some special kind of day. Like go to an aquarium, go to a museum, just walk around the city that's closest to you if you live near a city. If you don't, just walk around. Literally walk around. Sometimes just like going out and just observing the things, buildings, people. Oh my god. If you go on a bus, I don't know if they still have those wherever you're from, but I go on the bus all the time. If you go on a bus, there is a chance for some very interesting things to be observed or very interesting conversations to happen. And this is just by going on the bus alone. I mean, you could go anywhere. You could go to Nantucket. I don't care where you go. You could go to a bookstore and look at all the books you can't buy, but you can admire them. You can even touch them. You just can't buy them. Ah, I did it again. I'm so stupid. Oh my god. No, I'm not. But, oh my god. So one time, I was coming back from going out to my friend. She had like this like wine and bitch and craft night. Oh, I'm gonna show you the bracelets I made. I made these bracelets. They're tied very wonky because I wanted to tie them proper later, because you know I had wine. So, but like I made these bracelets. But anyways, I was coming back, and so I got on the bus. It started when this lady, she was like in probably late 50s, maybe early 60s, and she's like, "You paint your nails." And I was like, yeah, because like I have this habit of biting my nails, so I paint my nails to try and like not bite them, you know. And she's like, "Oh, I used to bite my nails," and I'm like, yeah. So she's like, "Yeah, I used to bite my nails. I used to bite them to the nibs until they bled." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And she's like, "I wanted to kill myself." And I was like, "Oh, you know, sometimes that's how it be." I'm going to be honest, and she's not the first stranger to have admitted to me that they wanted to kill themselves before. This is I told my mom this story and she did not believe it was true. It was true. People like to talk to me. People I don't know like to talk to me and open up. And I'm okay with that because I learn a lot. But I was like, yeah, that's something. And she's like, but then I found cigarettes, and so now I smoke. And I was like, well, you know, I guess we acquire habits, and we just jump from one habit to another. And she's like, I like that, and I like your pants. And I was like, thank you. This is my stop now. Goodbye. And she's like, Happy Easter. And I was like, oh, because it was around Easter. And I was like, Happy Easter. And then I left and walked home. It was very interesting when it happened. Yeah. So you could write about that. You could put that in your book. I feel like the interaction like that, if you're willing to have it, it would add a very nice experience to your writing repertoire. Now, I was going to read one thing I wrote from a going out. This is something I wrote when I was coming back from going out. Okay, so this is from the first act. By the way, I have not edited my book at all yet. So a lot of this is privy to change. When I was still writing Act 1, I was like in the middle of Act 1, and it was going really good, and then it was going really bad. Because I was like, can I do this? I was still in the stage where I was like, can I do this? Can I actually write this book? Am I finally like able to accomplish something I've always wanted to do? This was like a very like when I wrote this scene, this was like a very eye-opening experience for me. So I was like, oh, you know, this was kind of like this snowball that started to lead to me finishing Act 1 and me growing this confidence of, wow, this is like the most I've ever written for a book I've wanted to write. This is when the main character does a thing and there's stuff. I'm just going to read this first paragraph. And she closed her eyes, but only briefly before when she felt the tortoise that held the world below her shake. She sat up in bed to find the lights brightening under the rose tint as the light itself became tangible, reaching out to touch it as the pink of the waves of light glistened like the sea under the sun. The waves of the pink sea flooded into her room, rising just to meet her mattress. Her bed becoming an island with her dresser, the red vanity, the chair floating in the water of her clothes. The bugs had long prepared for such a disaster as their prophets had warned them of, and the ones who had believed built a ship fashioned from the blue ivy of the walls they long ago constructed many generations ago. Those who believed were saved in the ark as they floated in the pink water, watching those who never held on to such a belief drown. The spiders did not care for such trivial matters, as they had the foresight to see the likelihood of these events happening regardless. They amused themselves with fibs of the bugs on the ships as they float circling Saeed's bed, and drank tea with guests from the corner web across the room as they guarded the cocooning of the caterpillars, not caring for the wiggles they ignored in the corners of their eyes. Saeed went in between intervals of floating several inches off her bed before falling back down with an oomph from the weight of her own thoughts. Then the ivy began to rattle above her. I remember this specifically because as I was writing away, I got to this point where I was like describing eye makeup of this character that appears to her when she's going through this. And I was like, I looked to the lady to my right, and I was like, "What is it you called? It's like you. I cannot think of the word right now. You put it on your eyelashes. It's like this black like makeup stuff." And she's like, "That's mascara." I was like, "Thank you," because I was like, sometimes if I know the word I want to say, but I can't think of the word, it's just like I know what word I'm trying to say, but I don't know the word itself. I will just like get really in my head about it, like what is this word? What is this word I was looking for? My mind is funny sometimes. But yeah, I mean like and I have not edited that. Like it's going to be edited. I'm very critical already. I'm very critical of everything I do. Oh my god. By the way, if you've stuck around this long, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Ooh woo. Ooh woo, subscribe. That'd be like super chill. Anyways, 5. This is the shocking one. This is the shocking one. Workout. Literally workout. Ah, my tooth. I need to stop playing with the stitches in my mouth. So a lot of people don't like to work out, but I think for a writer, unless you're like an alcoholic or something, which I do not recommend because that affects your liver, and I think you kind of need your liver. I mean, but you know that's your own choice. If you want to be the Kerouac, Kerouac. If you want to be a Hemingway kind of writer, you know that's yeah, go ahead, but I don't recommend it. I recommend instead like working out. Whether you like want to get a gym membership and like lift weights and get super swole. I'm not really into the gym whole thing. I like more movement exercises. Like running is my favorite thing in the world. I get some of my best ow, my tooth hurt. My tooth hurt. I get some of my best ideas when I'm in the middle of a run. Right now, my average run distance is 6 miles. I also do mixed martial arts, and I really like to swim when it's warm enough. But I think, honestly, running is probably the best thing I've done for any of my creative pursuits, as well as my health. Actually, I haven't been able to work out since I got my dental my dental stuff, my wisdom teeth pulled, and I can just like feel I'm very like in tune with my body and like the sensations and vibes and the energy waves that like emit from it. And they are like building up, but no, I'm not supposed to work out with it for like 7 days after like the surgery or whatever, and I hate that so much. I really like running. I really like to run, but normally running is like my go-to thing. And that's probably why I ended up in today's funk with writing, is because eventually when I don't run for a long enough time, I build up too much energy and then I just cannot sit still and I cannot focus. So running is like one of those things that helps balances me as well as like with like meditation. But back on to like having my best ideas when I run. This is true. I because I'm running, I can't really like carry a notepad. Oh, I mean I can sometimes, I do, but I can't really like. I don't like to stop when I'm running. I don't even like to stop to walk if it gets hard. I like if I set out to run this distance, I'm going to run this distance till I finish. So what I do when I have a good idea, or just when I have an idea, is I send text to myself because I have my phone with me. I love to listen to music. Let's see. And despite this braid of mine that goes far too far into the far out future, parts of it are found scattered, stuck, dipping in tar in different parts of the past. My memory card literally ran out of memory. I forgot where I was, except for talking about the book I'm writing is really sad. No, well, kind of. Yeah, or like the section I'm at is like just like really sad. But it's whatever. It has in a hopeful note for some characters. I don't know. Yeah. So I text myself ideas. But here's a quote that I am willing to attribute to myself. I hope I said this first. I'd rather be a fool who attempts 1,000,001 things than a prudish know-it-all who attempts none. At least I hope I said that first. Oh, this is an idea I had for. At first, I was like, "Does this go in the book?" Like, I just had this like, I'm. I think very visually, and so when I was running, I had this like just like this. I was like, "Does this go in the book?" I mean, I sent it to myself as an idea, but I think I'm just going to save it for another project. Probably this novella I have pinned for to write on later, but it's like, and there she was, only in the reflection in the mirror, wearing a brown Victorian dress with white lace trim at the sleeves and skirt, watching her. I think it was supposed to be some like kind of ghosty thing. Oh, and as she told her tale on the unexpected stormy night in the midst of the summer and the city on the water, a glow began to emanate from her. It illuminated the entirety of Emily's dorm apartment, and if you saw from the street below, you'd mistake the night for day as you crossed the road to catch the bus to whichever destination you choose to go. Cannot wait to get to that part. This is going to be one of the funner parts to write. To reiterate my point, I think working out is the best thing you can do for yourself as a creative, because not only does it really help clear your head of any like mental fog, but also I think it helps make your ideas come out a lot sharper and a lot quicker too. I give working out a 12 out of 12 Tina Feys, if you ask me. And yeah, I guess we can wrap up to the conclusion. So my 5 tips are: write somewhere or something else. Number 2 is read. Number 3 is I'm gonna fart. Number 3 is work on a hobby or a side project. Number 4 is just go out, and number 5 is work out. Those are my 5 tips. Yeah, I'm still figuring out this whole like side of YouTube. Because I used to be like a filmmaker, and I had this like a little sort of black comedy sitcom thing that I was doing. Maybe I'll pick it up one day. Maybe I'll do films at some point. Who knows? But just right now, all my years are focusing on writing my book. Because I really want to finish my debut. Otherwise, ooh woo, like, comment, ooh woo, subscribe, ooh woo, and be excited for more. Because I'm just going to keep doing more, and you can't stop me unless you kidnap me and tie me up. Maybe that might stop me, but who knows? I'm crafty. I'd probably like seduce you and like break out, but I wouldn't fall in love. I'm not the romance side of BookTube. I don't do that. I would just seduce you and then break free, and then I'm more of maybe I would plot revenge. No, I'd be like, I hope you get better, and then I would just kind of like vanish. Conclusion tangents aside, thank you for watching, and peace in the Middle East. До свидания.